Welcome, welcome, welcome everyone to another episode of Walking with the Master. Boy, 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 Walking with the Master is really a serious title because the master that we're talking about in general and most specifically, in fact, is Dr. Moses Powell, Musa Muhammad, also known as. So listen, I have a great show today. I have a number of great guests. Let me stop all of that guest stuff. This is family. I can't trick you all. I brought family on again today because all of those who worked with Doc are family of mine. And, so we're going to move right on. I'm Grandmaster Abdul Azziz Muhammad, also known as Grandmaster Anthony Muhammad. I have here Grandmaster Bill McCloud as one of our guests. Oh, it's my brother. And I have also Professor Christopher Muhammad. Us.
Glad to be
All
here.
right. And I have Nidan Calvin Muhammad. He has his own show, in fact, and his own show. He has his own podcast, and we're going to talk about that as well, because he is doing a tremendous job, and it's not on the mat. It's off the mat. All right. So anyway, it's my brother. Let me just get started. And let them, get a chance to speak to you all. And if you are able to at this time, please hit your subscribe button, touch your subscribe, ring the bells, do all of the stuff that they ask you to do, okay? Because we're going to really go into some things. What I want to deal with, family, is dealing with the seminars that Doc has come to. In particular, Chicago. I have given seminars that all of you have been to. I mean, this is here in Chicago. We've been doing it now for 27. This will be our 27th year doing this here, man. I gotta clap myself. You know what I'm saying? Because, man, we've been working it, and Doc has been coming out with us from day one up until the day of his passing. And I think Doc only missed 1 year up until while he was with us. And but we enjoyed him all the time. And I want to kind of go into some of those offenses, because this is it has been for the 27 years, it's been the largest seminar in the world, the largest Sanuces seminar in the world. So I'm man, that's a big thing to say in the world, right? I mean,
that's right.
The world according to Sanuces. So anyway, I want to introduce Grandmaster Bill. Do you recall, you've been coming out to the seminars all of these years? Tell me, what are your thoughts about that?
Well, Doc was the seminar wherever he appeared. I think every place that he did a seminar, I followed him, and I followed him from the inception of knowing him all over the place. We lived together.
Yes, sir.
Days in, weeks in, months in, years in, continuously. And that was the thing. Then he would leave to go other places to do seminar, and we would all go as a backup networking team with him wherever he appeared, all over the place, all over the country. We went. We used to go to Florida to Phil Shanique used to have Doc down there. He had a seminar, and that was big. We would go there, and we had fun, and Chicago was, each seminar was extremely phenomenal because of the amount of people that would turn out. It would be unbelievable. You would have a day where it would be all women, and then you would have the children, and then you would have the adults, and you would have everybody together. And Doc's presence there, it gave kind of a light to the whole seminar by him being there and what his presence meant. Just being there for people to be able to see him and know who he was, being who he was in the thing. And then the minister used to come out to the seminars in Chicago, and he would come out to see Doc because Doc was somebody who meant a lot to him.
Yes, yes.
On a deep personal level. Right, I think he did security bodyguard with him for quite a while, moving around with the minister, and that was phenomenal in itself. Just to see those two coming together at the event and stuff, and the people's reaction to seeing them there collectively, and you seen the love that was there when that connection happened.
Yes, 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 yes. You know, that's absolutely correct. And man, I just thinking about it, you know, brings back those feelings. Professor Chris, what, you know, you in fact you used to come, and when you came, I remember you started coming to the events, and you started coming with vans, and then you kind of, you know, started doing the bus thing and bringing buses in, you know, coming in from New York and whatnot, you know. So that was awesome. So tell me about that.
Well, alhamdulillah, you know, at the first time that, well, when you moved out there in 95, I believe it was, the latter part. First one was, I mean, you hit the ground running, so 96. 96. So I brought about 7 students in a van, and that was the first caravan for the martial arts purpose of going out to Chicago. And it was a wonderful, it was a family. Matter of fact, two of the students, I was teaching them in New York since they were about 8 years old, 8 or 9, and they were about 11 at the time, and they brought their mom in the van. So, and then we had, yeah, it was just wonderful. And each year got bigger and better to where it ended up showtime. It was showtime. It was mainline, you know what I'm saying? It was the main thing now, you know, it was just incredible. It went incredible. The teaching in the seminar branched into training motorcade and training in life situations and training in first aid and emergency response. I mean, it's just turned into something that incredibly, you don't see that in martial arts seminars or training seminars like that. So I was excited. So as the excitement built up, then the spreading built up. So we ventured into a bus. After taking one van, then it turned into 2 vans. No, then it turned into a cargo van. First it was a minivan. Let me just put it straight. It was a minivan the first time in 96. A minivan. Then it turned into a cargo van. So the cargo van went for about 3 years. And then it was 2 cargo vans. And that went for about another 3 years. And then we had graduated into the bus, into the the unknown, into the unknown. because getting a bus, you gotta, that was a work right there. Getting the tickets, getting the people on, and locking the bus down has to be early and things like that. You was gonna say something, Grandmaster Bill?
I wish I had been smart enough to do that at that time. Because I remember the year that we drove out there, we carried about 3 or 4 cars from New York to Chicago. Man, that was quite an experience. That was an experience.
And it was so good, just seeing everybody come in like that, man. It was just you don't even know. It was exciting to see these persons coming in. I mean, and if you all had come together, like you had your own another crew, Grandmaster Bill and Chris had another crew, and that was awesome. That was awesome.
Other came from other places, the same way that we came from where we came from. They came from where they came from.
That's right. That's right.
It was phenomenal. It did what Professor Chris was covering before. The seminar, it was martial, but it was more than martial because of all of the type of ingredients. From you had people that was doing massages, people that whole kind of holistic things that was happening at the seminar. You had people that was working on you from a professional level. So you got a lot of information at the seminar besides knowing how to kick and punch properly.
Man, and Sister Calvin, Nidan Calvin, he originally, you started coming from Milwaukee first, right?
Yes, sir. I'm sitting here in awe, listening to everyone, because, and this will make sense, because I really, it's hard to describe being in the presence, and I have to go back just a little bit, because I was training in Milwaukee, and my foundation was traditional karate. Then I moved over to kung fu, and we had met a brother who was from New York, and he had been training in kung fu, but he was very familiar with the Da. And I didn't know, and he would work with us at times, and he would always say, "You all need to meet Mo." And I didn't understand what he was saying. He said, "You all really need to meet Mo." And I was, the words, I didn't know. I was like, who is Mo, right? and I didn't know until he gave us the videotape, Sanuces 1. And I watched that, and my understanding of martial arts as I knew it changed when I saw the video. And so for a couple of years, I was like, because I was in Milwaukee, it was in New York at the time, and a couple of, I was like, man, I want to travel. And I wish there was somewhere closer. And Grandmaster moved to Chicago. And for me, I said that was close enough. Although 90 miles away, that was close enough for me. And so I remember when we got word about the seminar happening in '96 in Chicago. And now Doc had already had a presence in my mind that was larger than life, because in karate, it was strong on lineage. Like every class, you couldn't even pass a test. Most of the tests were on Gichin Funakoshi, Gogen Yamaguchi, and Masoyama. And so if you didn't know their lineage and history, I don't care how good your technique was, we wouldn't pass to the next level. And so in my mind, now Doc, as a founder, Sanuces Jiu-Jitsu, I was like, there's a new lineage for me. Like I want to get to know that man. And so when we went to the seminar in Chicago, as everyone said, we had all of our classes, which the classes are in and of itself something else. But when it came time to get on the mat, I can't describe the presence I felt. And it started with the circle. And that's why coming to now, me having an opportunity to just be on the line, because this, as I remember, this was Dot Circle and some others. to see Grandmaster Bill McCloud, to see Professor Chris. I remember Shion Wayne and all of those people who were around Doc. And to me, they were untouchable. And so it was unspeakable to me. I tried to learn and stay back because I didn't feel worthy when we saw the Doc. And when he got on the mat and started to do what he did, for me, the best way I could describe it was I was already training in a system, and it was like I couldn't in my right mind go back to training. And what I did, I tried. I went to because it was in Kung Fu, and so I went and there was a weapons form that we were performing, and it required a roll. And I had been working on the roll because I had never seen a roll like the Sanuces roll. And so instead of doing the roll that they taught us, I did the Sanuces roll in my form. And I remember the seafood called me and said, where'd you get that from? And so it was like a man who had discovered that, like, you've been somewhere else now. And so it was tempting. But I can't describe the feeling that I felt and the knowledge. I felt like at that one seminar for those few hours, it had put the previous 7 years of martial arts training all in perspective for me.
Mm.
Wow. That was awesome. I mean, and you were, matter of fact, you were right. In our first seminar, from the first seminar, you've been here. How old were you then?
I think I was 18 or 19 at the time.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Well, I'm
That's
only 20 now, GM, so
yes, sir. Yeah, we all are. So let me ask, and anyone can come into play in terms of going. You know, Doc was something. No matter where he went, of course, it was phenomenal. You know, because it was from him. So you're gonna experience that. How was it in these different areas? I mean, because every area was different. You mentioned Dr. Shanique. You know, he was one of the locations. There was a number of them. So how were those seminars?
Well, I think that, you know, at each seminar, it was about Dr. Powell present, being there, and who he was, and the people that was there that was honoring him. And speaking of Dr. Shanique, I remember talking to him, and he was speaking about that all of the things that he was doing in terms, he had kind of a keto system that he named after himself, that type of thing, and his implementation of Doc expression of martial arts. He said that he had never seen anything quite like it from all the other teachers that he came in contact with. So Doc was like a finishing school that brought all the other things that he was doing together, right? Mm-hmm. And I thought that was phenomenal and extremely powerful, because, you know, there's a story about the blind man and the elephant. And the blind man, each part of the elephant, he says, he grabbed the leg, he said the elephant must be like a tree, right? And then he grabbed his trunk, he said the elephant must be like a snake. And he grabbed his ears, he said the elephant must be like a big bird, right? And then he touched the elephant's body and he said the elephant must be like a ball, a big wall. And people who experienced Doc it was like the blind man and the elephant.
Mm.
Right? And, you know, it's like, okay, you say the Mediterranean Sea, you say the Indian Ocean, the Dead Sea, the Atlantic Ocean, Pacific Ocean. It's all water. No matter what name you put on it, it's still water. So you see people who you know, a rose by any other name is still a rose, right? And one of the things, a Kodash is a Kodash, no matter which. If you're doing a judo Kodash, the wrist only goes a certain way.
That's right.
If you do a Hapkido Kodash, it's still a Kodash. You know, so what would make that Kodash a Sanuces Kodash?
Come on.
It was the mindset of the individual who was doing the Kodash.
Come on
Yes,
now.
sir.
So
Yes, sir.
everybody do a Kodash, but they didn't do a Kodash the way that the mindset of this particular individual did a Kodash. It wasn't the same. So I feel that a lot of people, even in terms of the different forms and things that Doc put together for aesthetic and artistic purposes, right? But those outer forms that he created, unless you lived with him and studied him, studied the architect of these things, you got a different type of understanding about what this thing that everybody calls Sanuces is.
Mm.
Right? So it's a different thing. What is the psychology? What is the mindset? What is the spirit that allows this entity called Sanuces to exist? Is it doing the forms and the katas? Is it doing Epong sin? Now, I gave a lot of other people do it too. What makes it Sanuces? It's the mind of this individual who did it. And being that we lived with him, and I'm glad y'all are here because y'all was there with me running and hiding and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Experiment. You know, he was experimenting with that and stuff. Cause you know, and I was saying, Doc, man, that's really trifling. He would take bows. Thank you very much.
Yep. Thank you very much. That's right.
So you know what I feel, and at these seminars, and one time I asked him, because I seen him doing, you know, like he would move and do the fan block, and he would do these things, right? And this is what he would teach at this particular time. And then if you seen something in there that you question him about the existence of this thing and why is that necessary to do that, you know, he would explain it to you in details based on your inquiry, your ability to see, your ability to inquire, right? And some of the times he would say, you know, I do this here because nobody don't ask no questions. How many times you heard that?
That's
Yes,
right.
sir.
Yes, sir.
That's right.
No questions. I'm gonna do this here, and ain't nobody asking no questions. So a lot of these things that you seeing now, ain't nobody asking no questions.
Mm-hmm.
Questions. They doing whatever it is. Ain't nobody inquired. Nobody took the time to be there where you was there. Sometimes you didn't even want to be there. You know, it depends on what his disposition. Ask these questions and stuff.
That's right.
And the terminology of the question determines the terminology of the answer that you
Oh
get.
yeah.
And you know, Grevins Bill, with that too. Now, see, people, you know, were on the mat, and there were reasons why questions didn't come, because when the question came, he's going to show you. See, but you had to want it enough to be able to take what he was going to show you too.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Absolutely. So I think it was Lamont who said one time, he said the secrets of Sanuces was that shape to take those ass whippings.
That's right. That's right, man.
But none of them whippings was malicious.
Oh no, no.
It might have been painful, but it wasn't malicious.
That's right. That's right.
That he would say in the old school, what he would say, you know, and when you beefed about what had occurred, you say, "You still alive, ain't you?"
Yes, sir.
Just an experience. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
You know, if I may, GM, just off of what Grandmaster Bill said, I recall at number one, because you asked a question about the seminars, I recall at that seminar, because up until that point, I had just been taught a certain way, and probably 70% of my training was just drills, just running drills. And I remember the doc getting up and doing the technique. And when he hit it, he was like, boom, 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 bam, right? And he did that about 4 or 5 times. He would do it. He would slow it down at times, move to different angles. And then the first time I had heard that, he was like, all right, everybody got it? Each one, teach one, let's go to work. And I was sitting there dumbfounded, like, is somebody gonna break this down, right? Because it was like I'd never been trained like that. And so as Jim Bill said, the only way, and this is the important thing I had to learn about the seminar, the only way you could truly get the most out of it, because after he wanted us to work, if you didn't ask some questions, you didn't get what he was trying to get. And so after standing around for a minute, it was me and another brother, we were looking at one another. We was like, we got to ask somebody something, because we got to learn how to put this together. And it forced us to go out and observe, ask other people, until we could finally start to get some of the technique. And even then, it was very strong that we have that notebook and write information down, so that when we get back, it wasn't the end of the technique when we got back. But that was the first time I had been taught like that. And it took me a minute to understand that it wasn't that Doc was giving us too much at the time. It was his expectation of the martial arts were greater than anyone else had put on me of what a person could accomplish. And so maybe it didn't take me 3 to 4 weeks to really learn that Osotogari, because I saw him put, instead of something being 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 separate techniques, I saw him combine all of these things and into one technique and a particular flow that I hadn't seen anywhere else. So the seminars were critical. Every time, even if you didn't formally get promoted at a seminar, you got promoted every time you came and sat under the dock.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Very awesome.
Yes.
I just want to say too that I later learned that he was testing his black belts and other people that were with him to see if they really could show the student what he just did.
Yes.
And you know, and one of the things that that you learn, we would like do all of these things that he would see us do daily when we was there with him, and the experience of, so you did a He did from 10 to 12, 10 o'clock in the morning, 12 o'clock, and then he did the Sunday class, right? Black, regular, every morning, 10 to 12, he did. And then after that, you got to sit and talk to him all day and watch. Right. You got to sit and watch him in all different types of contexts. So now you are seeing the mind.
Facts.
This thing working on different levels. So you start to put together, yo, look at what is the psychology of this person that is able to get on the here and do this thing here. And he was the most humane individual.
Yes.
Until it was time for him to go over to the other side. And as he said, you know, he himself personally has test-driven everything he was given. He's not giving you something he ain't never did.
Facts.
And not, I'm talking about in real time, not in
playtime. Facts.
Real time and stuff.
Yes, sir.
So this is what, going back, so this is what makes, when you understand the psychology of Sanuces, right? You see a lot of persons, they could do, you know, and they look phenomenal doing things, but they still don't have the mindset because they never been in the same path, same thing he was, right? So right. I don't know if you guys ever remember the story about Bro Bear and Bro Rabbit. You remember the story? Right?
Yes.
So
go ahead.
Listen. And the fox, you know, he caught the rabbit. He was going to get ready to cook the rabbit. He said, I finally got you, I'm gonna cook you. And the rabbit said, it's all right, you can do that. You can throw me in the pot over there, it's all right, but just don't throw me in the briar patch, right? And then he said, no. He said, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna skin you and stuff. He said, it's okay, you can skin me. Just don't throw me in the briar patch, right? He said, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take you and hang you upside down and just let your blood just drip. He said, you could do all that, just don't throw me in the briar patch. So the fox said, okay, you don't want to go in the briar patch, you throw him in the briar patch. So I'm laughing. He said, man, I was raised in this briar patch. That's kind of the same thing. Doc would watch you. He would watch you, your training. When you was there, he's there watching. He would say nothing unless if he says something because he loved you.
That's right.
He would offer correction. Otherwise, he wouldn't offer no correction about what you're doing. Being corrected was just important as anything. Yes. Because you would go on your own ego because you think that you could do it and stuff, you know? So one time I did some stuff. I think we may have been at Paul Robeson at the time, and I did something. I just thought it was the slickest thing that ever came through my mind. I said, come here. He said, you just put that together? I said, yes, sir. Right? He said, all right. He said, all right, told the brother that I was working with, said, turn around, let me see you do it now, right? And I stood there for 15 minutes trying to figure out what the hell he was talking about. And I understand that just the mindset, I would never think of no stuff like that, you know?
Yeah.
And like there's, me personally, this is my personal opinion, there need to be a graduate level of understanding what real Sanuces is.
Facts.
Graduate, not the entry level where you come in, you're doing concept, principle, philosophy drills, not you coming in doing the drills and all those type of things, but the psychology, because it's a next level of understanding. You know, you got to remember this is the guy who trained the DEA, the FBI.
That's right.
He trained a lot of these people where he got some mindset about what he did, what he implemented into his thing. So if you understand what I'm saying, you have to have that level of understanding how to do a cash. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So what I want to add is, Doc said, when you see your student, if he says something out of place or does something out of place with somebody, he said, you correct them. He said, because he might do it to somebody else and he's not going to be here no more.
Yeah.
And he said, now you only do that if you like him.
Oh, yes, sir. That's excellent. That's well, Doc is something, I mean, one day we got to come up with the book with the little
saying.
pamphlet that has his sayings in it.
Yeah.
Boogity boogity. Live. This is live, not Memorex. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
When he said boogity boogity, you was in trouble.
Yeah.
Oh, if he said you and whatever it was, and he said boogity boogity, that was bad. That was not good. That was not good. But the other thing, man, that I feel that Doc was, how do you say this? He was Machiavellian to an extent that, and a lot of people, you would have to been around where you could study and know when to duck into tin con, because he would do a lot of things. He would set a lot of things in motion to give to see how people would act by things that he would give them.
Right.
Right. Just to see how they move with it and stuff. I was saying this before. He would watch you train, and then he would do something like, put you in that position with the one finger down. You ain't never did that, with the one finger down and the other leg up. You remember that? You know that.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And you'll be
yes, sir.
He would walk away and leave you there.
Yes.
And when he came back, you need to still be in that position.
Facts.
Right? So he would walk up. If Professor Chris is the highest rank on the night, he would walk up, and the other brother next to him down the line, he done put his feet down, and got his knee down on the ground. So he'd walk up to Professor Chris and he'd say, you let him do this? That's right. Be a serious trouble here. How you gonna let this guy just disrespect me like that and do that?
Right? It's over.
You gotta. He's putting you in a position where you gotta correct this
right now.
Right now. Right now.
Yes. Man, so in terms of, Grandmaster Bill, you're going to have an event where you are going to be teaching women. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
We're gonna have for Women History Month. We're doing a free women self-defense workshop and clinic. In this workshop and clinic, we're going to be covering all of the things that we consider self-defense. Spiritual self-defense, mental self-defense, physical self-defense, economic self-defense, all these type of things that affects us at this particular time that we're in. We're going to have a couple of people here that does acupuncture and herbs and that type of thing as well. And it's all for the benefit of the women, because as we was taught, when you train a woman, you train a whole nation. And now in the time that we are in, women get equally assaulted as men. And some of them are doing the assaulting and stuff as well.
That's
So,
right.
That's right.
yeah. So we want to kind of, educate the women about what is necessary in this here time that we live in. These times are unprecedented in the history, in the annals of history, right, that we're in. So we want to offer that to this month for women self-defense.
Well, that's excellent. Our audience here is really a great and a vast audience. I mean, they make some of them that are in the New York area or in the surrounding area, can possibly come over and get that. What about everybody else? Will you have any online observation or where they can join the class?
Yeah, we're putting that together as we speak, and
Awesome.
it's be announced maybe on one of the other programs you have. You can inform how we're going to go about doing that.
That's great. That's great. Well, it's important for us to teach the women and to make sure that they can protect themselves. And that's excellent. I commend you on that. Nidan, let me ask you. I really want to hear and have the audience understand a little bit about what you are doing as it relates to your podcast that you put together and that and what you cover. Tell me about it, and expose what you do to this audience.
Yes, sir. Well, Jim, if I may, I have to say, the podcast really was inspired by you and watching you move, in particular with the National Training Corps, which is the well by which the seminar in Chicago sprang. And so over the years of having an opportunity to participate in the national training, at least within the Nation of Islam, I would talk to people and ask them, are you going to be at the national training? And it's kind of goes into what Grandmaster Bill McCloud was talking of. And they would say, well, look, I'm not a martial artist, or, I don't want to get on the mat. And it was an opportunity for me to ask and say, well, you understand that only about 40% of the national training is on the mat. Most of it is in a classroom to learn critical skills and functionality. And when you leave with a skill set that enhances your martial art, but not just your martial art, it enhances your ability to protect your family. And as Professor Chris was talking about those classes, the motorcade, he was speaking of how you would learn personal security and all of these things, all of these classes, all the way down to cleanliness. If I'm not mistaken, we're in a pandemic now, but there were a few years ago, there was a class on biological warfare and hygiene and how to prepare your home, and even when you travel, how to keep those things, how to protect your immune system. That was ahead of the time for those classes. And so I felt like after talking to you and then talking to other people who maybe didn't make the connection of what the national training was about, that maybe we can bring more of that information out to the public. And so we call it Beyond the Mat, to give people an opportunity to see what is taking place past the mat at the national training, and even the things that are taking place, as was spoken here, on the mat that you might not necessarily get, as Grandmaster Bill was speaking of, the psychology, the graduate level, the understanding that maybe you don't get of why that technique is applied the way that it is, or even its origin, where it came from, how it works. And so what we wanted to do as an extension of what you're already doing, GM, is to give people a greater understanding of those different components that have come out of the national training that are really different components of the martial arts in general that make and enhance a person's own personal well-being. So that's called Beyond the Mat, and we like to air those on Saturday. And we just got some more equipment in, so we had a pause, and so I got that equipment, which is why I'm able to be with you today. And so
Awesome.
you'll hear that every Saturday. We'll have some aspects of that.
So,
Awesome.
so is there a particular time?
Yes, at 3 p.m. on Saturdays. 3 p.m. on Saturdays on your page, Grandmaster. We link it there on your page, Grandmaster Anthony Muhammad, your YouTube channel and your page. And we have a page, the National Training Corp, that we also do it on. It's usually less than an hour, but we've had some of the presenters at the National Training who are what we call subject matter experts, who you get a better insight to see where that skill set comes from and how you can apply it.
Awesome, awesome.
I wanted to mention when we was talking about the women, free women self-defense, it's going to be on the March the 26th. It's from 1 to 3. It's the last Saturday in this month. I didn't mention that before.
Awesome, awesome. And definitely you can look and see the information right here. You can just take a look at it and just note it so that you can tune in to that event at the end of this month. Great, great. Professor Chris, were you attempting to say something at one point?
Yes, I wanted to bring to light the international participation of the seminar and my how do you say, my competition in the Bahamas.
I was gonna, that's good.
Professor Moss.
That's right.
Beautiful people. I had a great time out there, and he brought his students all the way from there to the seminar, and we enjoyed them, but that we cannot miss.
and he I wanted to let you know, he said, listen, he's coming for the record. He's coming. He said, let Professor Chris know that I'm bringing my group to take the record.
All praises due to Allah.
Oh man, that's great. That's great. Any final things we wanted to say? Well, let's get this, and who knows, this may even create too much conversation, but nonetheless, many times I touch this when we talk about those who studied only or primarily in seminars. The power of Doc is really something. I mean, he can take you and make you a student, immediately because you felt him. And it didn't necessarily have to be feeling him touch you, but he touched you with his presence and whatnot, as we've already heard with you all. But in terms of those who have studied in the seminar, and then those who have studied receiving the pain of an actual class, is there a difference?
Oh, I think there's a phenomenal difference in regards to that. It depends on who the individual is and what it is that they are looking for.
Yes.
Right? When they come, right? If this is a biblical story about the character in the Bible, Christ, and and all the magic that he did. And, and people who didn't understand the magic that he did, they deified him. right? But he was operating laws that was already here in existence, right? But he told the people that his followers, and those who came, it says, well, if you want, you could do this thing that I'm doing, but if you want to do this thing that I'm doing, you got to walk the same path that I walked.
Come on.
So, you know, so I said this before, many are called, but only few are chosen. Right? And so, you know, those who came, they had an agenda, right? And, you know, in real talk, Doc was a master of the game of manipulation.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Best.
Yep.
He was the best. Just so that you came with an agenda that he didn't already see, you know? And so he would see them and they would come and he'd say, yeah, hey, you know, hey, babe, what's up? How you doing? Right? All right. You want to be a ball or a shot caller?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So,
Yes.
and then that in that equation, so, you know, so in the con game, they say that you can, the only way that you can be con is you have loss in it.
Yes, that's deep.
Yeah,
True.
so the only person that can get game is the person who come and think, right? And then they get gamed. And then they walk away with whatever it is that they may have, they think it, but
Thanks.
time to, you know, go down that path with all of the obstacles and stones and stuff that was there and stuff, you know? So and you know, I guess in most systems, you probably have a lot of those type of people and individuals that come along. I think when you had Grandmaster David James on, he kind of spoke to an extent on that as well. So that's my thoughts about that.
Yes, sir. Awesome.
What I'm not with is, okay, you had seminars and you brought the doc out and he may have given you rank after you brought him out twice or 3 times. That's fine. But it's like, now you got this other rank, you got this rank of Sanuces from other people, and I just don't know how that works. How can you get rank from other people in Sanuces and it's not the doc? So that is beyond me. So now we have professors, we have grandmasters, while the doc was yet gone. So how can you yourself feel good about that and honored about that if you haven't checked with those who was taking the bumps, the bruises, and the scrapes, and to get blessing from them? Or, you know, what, you just, like Doc said, you just woke up and came up with this yourself?
Yes,
So
sir. Yes, sir.
that's not good. So that larceny, how the oracle of our system, Grandmaster Bill put it, is absolutely correct. So the undertow is something criminal, you understand? But we're not haters. You know, if you're doing things that help people, that's great. That's fine. But we don't really find them doing that all the time. We find them disguising that way.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Brother Nidan, let me ask. I want to go back to, just for a moment, to the well, I'm not going back. I'm actually just coming back to you for a moment, because you have a school also. All of you are teaching and have been teaching for years, and you have a school in Kansas City. correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So tell me about that. Tell me, you know, why you even opened up a school and whatnot. You know, let's give me a little bit on that before we close.
Jim, that is you know, it's a question that sends me personally into contemplation. And then I have to, you asked the question previous to this because I had an opportunity to experience the Doc's presence at a seminar, but I knew right away, as excellent as that seminar was, and something that I had never experienced in my life, I knew that would not be sufficient. I knew that my learning could not be limited to seminar from seminar. I had to seeing Doc as this huge oak tree. For me, I had to do something to be connected to that tree, that oak, the roots of that tree. And so I had to grab onto a branch. And the branch, and I'm so thankful to Allah, the branch that I have, because it's more than a branch to me. It's my only connection to the Doc, was to start to study under you. And like I said, being in Milwaukee at the time, you know, and knowing that it was a little distance, probably about 90 miles each way to train, that was no obstacle. And so we had put in place in Milwaukee that once or twice a week, we had to come to the dojo in Chicago to train with you. And then we tried to make it at least every Saturday, as often as we could. And that is where we learn to grow. And I say that because if one is participating in a seminar, which is good as an introduction and is good for you to get an understanding, but for growth, you have to associate, you have to try to attach to that tree. So you have to find you a solid branch to hold on to. And so when we started training in Milwaukee on a consistent basis, and having you right there, you could come up and train with us. And we were training out of the mosque. And in 2005, 2006, I moved here to Kansas City, Missouri. And for the people in this area, if you're not from Kansas City, Missouri, you have to say Kansas City, Missouri, but because it's like Bloods and Crips, you can't say Kansas because that's a different area. And so they take that seriously here. So KCMO, when I moved here, I knew that for my own sake, and there was some selfishness for my own sake, that I would diminish if I didn't continue training. And I couldn't just continue training by myself. So I had to see if I could still grab on to that branch. And so in just me trying to train and get with people here so that I can continue to learn, as Grandmaster Bill said, at a certain point, in order to elevate your knowledge, there's an old saying that you retain 90% of that in which you try to teach. And so teaching for me was not necessarily so that I could be a teacher or an instructor. It was a pursuit to continue to grow in what was given to me. And that was the only option that I had if I was to really, and I can say this, stay worthy of this lineage. Because I'm very conscious of when I start talking about my lineage, if I could use your words that you gave us, Jim, in a class, you taught us that you are only as good as the lineage you claim. And so if I've been training for 30 years, then that 30 years is where I'm capped with me. But once I connect myself to my lineage, then my cap starts to grow. And so here, I had one pursuit. Number one, to continue my learning, but that selfishness diminished because I wanted other people to be attached on. So we started to train here, and we have a dojo here, and we are USOS Kansas City. And I have to say this because we're talking about, when we talk about this family, Sanuces, that we're in, I have a saying in our classes, and that saying is, You are not my students. I've never claimed a student. My only pursuit is that when my teacher, who is Grandmaster Abdul Azziz, when he sees you, that he sees himself in you. Because if he sees me in you, I've done something wrong. But if he can see that there's a connection, a continuity, because I know that what I'm getting from Grandmaster, I know that is connected to the source. And so here in Kansas City, we have our school and we're striving to grow, and we're coming out of the pandemic now. And so we're really going to put on the gas because we had to make some modifications for a while. But as we continue to come out, we look forward to increasing the nutrients that are coming from that branch.
Awesome, brother.
Awesome. Boy.
Yes,
We-
sir.
We sure enough can learn.
Yeah,
Well,
what he said is,
go ahead.
yeah, you know, it's like an Ukideshi. An Ukideshi was the one who lived with his instructor. Under him, he cleaned for his instructor. He did whatever was necessary to be taught by his instructor. He went where most of the times he was the instructor's personal uki, because the instructor had put so much training into this ukideshi, because he watched this ukideshi, and not only did he watch his physical, he watched the character of who it was that he was making and producing, which is extremely important, right? So if a person wants the knowledge, you got to, what the brother just described, you got to go, and like what I said in the beginning about the privilege that we had was to be daily with our instructor. He was there in the morning. Sometimes he was there before you got there because he had keys, right? He was there before you got there, and he was there when you left.
That's right.
On a daily basis. So you get a different appreciation than those who had, you know, when if they was distant relatives.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's like house. And you know, one other point before I would like to make before we leave here is that Chris, how many kids you have?
3.
3. Who's your oldest?
No, he's talking about your students,
Yes.
not your children. Are you talking about the children or students?
The children.
Wahid, Wahid.
Yo, who's the oldest?
Wahid.
Okay, who's next?
Zeke.
Can Azziz get in front of Wahid?
Negative.
First is
Negative.
always, it's first because my mathematics had never been that good. But is first always first?
First
That's
is
right.
always first.
I need to know. So Omar, as big as Omar, Omar Strong, that's my man and stuff, right? But he can't in front of Amir,
That's right.
right?
That's
'Cause
right.
You know what I'm saying? No matter. So here, Grandmaster Anthony say, you know what? Me and you've been misbehaving, man. Omar, you first now.
Right. Right. You're the oldest now.
I'm gonna try.
I don't understand. Help me. Is that possible?
No, sir.
Negative. Mathematically impossible.
Oh, mathematics. I'm just trying to say, I'm just trying to state some mathematics.
Yes, truth. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Truth. Truth.
First is always first. That's at least the way I thought. First is always first.
That's right. That's
Don't
right.
change. Don't change, brother. Don't change.
Yeah, okay.
Man. Thank you. For those who know, they understand. But man, I appreciate all of you for being present, not just for the show, but present in my life for the length of time that you have been. I appreciate you, love you all for your contribution to Doc, to the family. You know what I'm saying? To, you know, this is real Sanuces here. You know what I'm saying? And I appreciate you all for being Sanuces warriors. So thank you. And listen, everybody else out there, you're out there, man. I pray that you enjoyed this. I really enjoyed this show, this episode. And if you enjoyed it like I believe you did, let somebody else notice so that they can get on and check it out and see what we're talking about. So when you want to know something about martial arts, this is a place to come. If you want to know something about defending yourself, this is a place to come. And absolutely, if you want to know something about Sanuces, you want to know something about Vijitsu Te or Grand Professor V, if you want to know something about Soke Little John Davis, Kumite Ru, if you want to know anything about that, this is where you need to come. Keep on coming. And thank you very much for being here. Us, brothers, thank you.
Us. Thank you, Grandmaster.
Thank you, sir.
Man, great job now. You all take care.
Us.
All right, I'll see you all next week, everybody.
Us.
Every student of a master here today, you reflect your master teacher. You want to walk like him. You want to talk like her. But you start by having an object in front of you that you admire.